Hello, everyone. Hi. It's been some time. I don't know how long I'm going to be live for because today is logistics day. Ooh, excuse me. Today is logistics day, which means that I am waiting on a phone call to book a bunch of flights. And by a bunch, I mean like two. I'm using the SKT Revelation stack because the 8, because the 8 of Swords has a lunar eclipse on it, and we just had the lunar eclipse in Taurus yesterday. I almost said Scorpio, but it's Scorpio season. Oh, the Kindred came out, and I'm looking at the moon that has the Norse compass question mark on it, something like that. A version of what I have maybe come across or heard of as the Norse compass, because I don't know. But there's this energy here of like entwined paths, fated connections, destined meetings, where it's like 3 separate people who live their own lives and do their own thing. And then one day they find themselves in each other's company. And the bottom of the deck is the Archangel of Mysteries. So that's when I was like, oh, because it really plays on that moon energy. Interesting. Anyway, there's a lunar eclipse in the 8 of Swords, and I was going to use, I think there's another deck I have. Excuse me, with the lunar eclipse on it. That I was going to use just to like pull before and after. See what's that, you know? And I'm like, did I do I can't remember if I did a lunar eclipse. I think that was Scorpio. Pretty sure it was full moon Scorpio lunar eclipse because it was Aries solar eclipse. I'm pretty sure. Because it wasn't a full moon Libra lunar eclipse. I don't remember at least a full moon Libra lunar eclipse. The Keeper just came out with the Kindred at the bottom. So it's like while you are doing your own thing, mastering your craft, getting to where you're going in life, there are others that are doing the same. Interesting. It's almost like if I feel like it happens a lot with like villain movie. Well, maybe not. But yeah, kind of like heisty, villainy type movies where it's like you got the guy who's like Baby Driver, but maybe less. It's like you got the driver who's an expert at this. You got the marksman who can shoot anything or whatever. You got the like a Black Widow type sleuthy person. And it's like separately, they all throughout their path in life, throughout their trials, tribulations, victories, triumphs, master, become really great at their thing. And then they all come together. So it could also be like people coming together to form a company, or just like 3 of Pentacles, like people working together type energy. I mean, since it is the 3 of Cups, though, Eve, good morning. How are you? Since it is the 3 of Cups, it isn't necessarily as businessy. It could just be people that you really get along with, that you feel a kindredness with. It is the kindred. Interesting. And then behind that is the blind seer, which again, it feels like it's just playing on that you don't even know, or like you wouldn't even be able to see how your path would ultimately lead you to these other individuals, in which you work on something together and you really shine. So I'm glad to hear it. I've been, honestly, if you want me to be real frank and honest, I've been better. I've been worse. I'm all right. It's just, I feel like I told you. Yeah, I sent you that voice note. Did I? Yeah, I sent you the voice note after. Yeah, because that's when I was like, I might have to rewatch that read you did for me. Because for a hot second, for a hot minute, I was like, it hadn't made itself known, and then it did, and then I was like, oof. So yeah, my lunar eclipse, I feel like I just got blindsided, right? Like I was looking both ways, and I was about to cross the street, and then I got Regina Georged by the bus. The bus that people like to throw folks under, apparently. um, I got Regina Georged, and I was not expecting it. I was like, what? But also at the same time, like I was talking to my journey buddy, or we were talking because like I live my experience, she lives her experience, and then we like talk to each other. Hey Sandra, how you doing? Thank you. It's cold, and I don't want to turn on the heat because the electric bill was like probably maybe the lowest it's been since I moved in. Maybe not that first half month, but like it's been cold enough. I don't need the AC, and I'm not trying to like turn on the heat. So, and I love the cold. So anyway, um, so yeah, I was talking to my journey buddy, and I was like, it feels like this is a final right now. Like there are things, especially during my Saturn return, but I'm like 30, so of course, like that's the freshest, whatever. But for me, it's like the past few years. So for you, it could also be the past few years, even if it wasn't your Saturn return. But I also talked about like my Saturn being in Aquarius, and I think Saturn progrades soon, if it isn't already. It goes direct. Um, but it's like Saturn at 0 degrees Pisces, like pushing on that door of Aquarius, and then Pluto about to eventually re-enter Aquarius because its retrograde in Capricorn is over. It was like putting on the squeeze, but not in a necessarily bad way because it felt like it's like when you learn something in school, you learn it in a very specific, decontextualized way. It's like when you learn math, 2 plus 2 is 4, right? But when it comes to, it's like the final was the word problem version of all of the lessons that I learned. Where it's like instead of being asked, what's 2 plus 2? I'm being asked, well, Johnny has 2 apples, Susie has 1, and Bobby has 3. How many apples do they have all together? And so you have to take the word problem, break it down into the equations, and then solve the equations, and then convert your result from the equations back into an answer that answers the question, right? Because if you just say like 6, yeah, that was right, 2, 1, and 3. If you just say 6, it's like, okay, 6 what? The answer would be like they all together have 6 apples. So it's mostly the 6, but again, you got to like recontextualize it after you get the answer. And so it's just been a lot of like applications of things in different ways than I originally learned them. So like at first there was a lot of me like coming into my voice to voice concerns that I had about, you know, not ideal treatment at work at my last job. But now I'm being asked to use my voice in a way that's more like, hey, like this is something that I would like. This is an experience I would like to have. Can you work with me to like make this happen? Now it's more like proactive and it's progressive rather than it being honestly more reactive and within a certain context. It's like it's taking it beyond. Um, that's one example. And then there were some other things. And like, I think I told you in that voice note, it was just like such a weird day. Because then it's like there was this whole other completely separate arena where it's like you know? If you could put that into words, like, and I was like, and at first I was like, okay, I feel this, I can tell something's up, but then it was like, oh, okay. Um, but anyway, like my 12th house is massive. It starts in Pisces, it ends in Taurus. So as like, and like my Venus is in there. So of course my Venus, like when Venus retrograded Leo, I had my moment. When Venus, like now that it's about to go into Libra, it's gonna oppose my Venus. It's gonna be a moment. Um, Mercury is in my 12th house. And so like this eclipse or this like Scorpio axis, because this eclipse happened early enough, it's actually in my 6th house. The sun is transiting my 6th. So the moon was in my 12th house. And then like literally, like I'm at 8 degrees Taurus rising, and I'm pretty sure the eclipse happened at like 5, like 5-ish degrees. So it's like on the cusp, but more in the 12th, 6, and then it's slowly shifting to the first 7th. And so I'm feeling that. And then it's just like there's also been this series of background lessons that haven't necessarily been a main feature, but it's been prominent. It's like in a TV show when a side character starts to get more screen time, their arc is fleshed out and then they become a main character. Like they become part of the recurring cast when their role was originally written as like a 1 or 2 off, but fans love them, so they're back. Type of energy. Um, and that one, maybe this is all me, or not like just me, but maybe instead of this like being 3 different people that all come together, because as I'm looking at it within the scope of like my life, there are these like different areas which I've been tested to more specifically that I was talking about, in which I've been tested, in which I've been growing, and we've been doing this process. But then there's been this other one that's kind of sort of been like ramping up. It's kind of been in the background, but not really, because it's been a factor, but it hasn't been one of the major ones. It wasn't necessarily prioritized as such. And now it's like they're all coming together to basically form the roots of this tree so that, branch out and move forward in the future. And I'm like, okay. But also, I'm like, oh, let's do this because that was the eclipse gift to me. Woo! Anyway, yeah, it could probably be very monkey's paw type of energy. But again, like it was so, especially after last week, it was just so out of the blue, crazy. I haven't seen The Walking Dead, but yes, I am no stranger to people who show up that aren't canon to the source material, but who take on a more significant role or a different path to like TV or animation, which is still so. All right, but yeah, it's been interesting, and I feel like honestly, I'm not necessarily externally being pushed in any direction. It's more internal, which is the point of that third one that was like off to the side, that kind of sort of like it's been like ramping up, it's been coming closer and closer, it's been meeting these other two. And now it's like that one has the missing ingredient or has the piece of information that these two needed to like get further or to solve their problem or whatever. So now it's like it's not that it's taking over, but it is like it's main character energy. I was like, okay, all right. Well, this certainly does anything external in my life have to change? Not necessarily. but the way that I go about moving forward, it can if I wanted to be more suiting towards, again, like I feel like for a while, it's just like I don't know, like I haven't had too many experiences, so I'm not gonna settle on one. I want to just like get experience, you know what I mean? And then tailor sort of how I want, like what I want to experience next. And if I want to specialize, focus, whatever, I can do that. So anyway, I also saw, oh look, now the moon is at the bottom of the deck, the necromancer. I saw Reem's part of it. I was like listening, and then I had to like go and work, and so I didn't really get to listen to any of it. But um, I watched the Pisces part, and I was like, wow, because I think it was that time I tried to go live, and it kept failing. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was the vice versa tarot because I'm looking like I can kind of recall the image in my mind, and there isn't another deck that I have that would have it. But it kind of basically said what she said in her Pisces part. And I was like, wow, look at that confirmation. I remember though, like when Reem would do something like that, and I would get like triggered, and I'd be like, oh. But it was just like, yeah, okay, I accept it. Right, I knew this. I was told, I was informed. I don't have to freak out. You know what I mean? But yeah, so anyway, we're just gonna pull cards and we're gonna have a time. And then I also saw, of course, her Taurus part. Yeah, I remember it now. And the Taurus part was interesting for a different reason, but anyway, it's something else that's come back to the forefront. Um, who we got? Oh, face down to the side. The erudite, the hermit. Luke's ex Tenebrous, light from darkness, hermit of the mysteries. Bottom of the deck is the Demiurge, Four of Wands. This is Venus. Well, okay. Venus is in Virgo, about to transit into Libra. I feel like there's an energy here because of the sunflower, because of the flower that looks like a sun in the middle of the wheel. There's an energy here of how we participate in the creation of our experience and how depending, it's like how we create and influence our experience, but it's how our experiences affect, impact, and influence us. And then it becomes, I mean, it's a wheel, it becomes this cycle. And there's almost because the hermit is here, there's an implied question of, well, how do we break out of that cycle? How do we experience, like, how do we create an experience that we've never had? How do we speak a language that we've never heard and that we don't know? And the hermit would say that the answer lies within. But it was the hermit on its side. So it's like, while the answers do lie within, they lie within without. And so it's almost like this, because sometimes if we have an experience and we go within, we go further into that experience, or we go within with a lens of that experience. But it's for us to go within and not be so engrossed in that experience that it becomes the confines of the reality that we live in. That it's like that they don't become unnecessary rules. You know what I mean? Like, I've never noticed that. She's got goats on her. Is this Aries Capricorn energy? Oh, maybe Aries because this is Venus and Aries. I've never noticed those like goats. See the goats. One of my friends posted on Facebook. He was like, "Who is the goat?" A few days ago, maybe yesterday. It's funny. Right as I'm like, I don't think this is my arena. Um, goat yoga. Yoga. Who's doing goat yoga? Is goat yoga a thing? Oof. Oh no. I'm like, is that? It almost looked like a sword. I guess it could be. Um, yeah, that's fine. That's a Patrick thing. I mean, I guess like I said it last time, right? I was like, I'm always like, I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this. I don't know. After, and it wasn't just, well, Ring's Pisces reading, maybe. As it's like, as now I'm not working, I actually have time to like, for things to percolate and I get to sleep and then like not, go to work for 12 hours. Before I went live, because there's been a few days where I was like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go live, and then I was like, I don't really feel like it. And then what would I have to say? And then when I did try to go live, like both of the videos just like cut off, but like it was still running on my side, and like it came back. But I was like, yeah, I know from last time that none of this is recording because I did a whole like 40 minutes to an hour that condensed down to maybe 4 minutes, and I was like, okay. Um, But yeah, I'm just like, maybe this isn't my arena, which isn't surprising because, like I said, I've talked about it before. I don't know how long for pulling cards on YouTube I am. I'm just like, maybe there are other things in this life for me. You know what I mean? Like the 3D, my career, the things that I want. Um, and for a minute, it was mostly like hesitation, maybe, or it was mostly like, I like woo. I can get down with the woo woo, but I don't necessarily, want to. I was like, I just want to be a muggle. But more so than like just wanting to be a muggle, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I've never felt like this was my purpose. Um, Part of it at some points, maybe, but we'll see. We'll see. And that's why I'm like, yeah, I don't, who knows? I mean, I said that years ago and I'm still here, you know what I mean? But maybe the time will come where I'm like, I don't know, who knows? We'll see. All right. Like I said, it's been a wild, and again, something else happened where it's just like everything was like normal until the day. And then it was just like, and I'm like, okay. This is what we're doing now. Cool. Got it. Well. Oh no! Look what card. Guess what card? No! Wow! The death card just came out. Look, there's Scorpio. And then that's the card I was looking for because of the blood moon with the lunar eclipse. It's at the bottom of the deck now. So I guess this video is over. Maybe that's it. End of the video. Found the card we're looking for. Bye. This is interesting. It's passage to illumination in the Revelations edition. It's like, remember the hermit? It was the hermit on its side with the Four of Wands, and it was like, we participate in the creation of our experiences, but we're also shaped and influenced by our experiences. And so if we find ourselves in a not great loop, or in a loop that we don't desire to be in for whatever reason, how do we break out of it, or how do we get the inspiration? Well, if I call it inspiration, then it feels like it's a lot more obvious. How do we get how do we break out of all that we know using something that we don't even know? And it was like the hermit, but it's hermit in a way that isn't bound by the confines of our experiences. And sometimes when all that we know is all that we know, it's challenging to find anything else inside. It's like we go within, but it's a within without. Now it feels like this reaper, it's like, hey, how you doing? It's like the if that was a labyrinth, and I just did this. Minnows. Well, no, not really. I just talked about them. There's apparently a Three Kings playlist. I was like, maybe I could recreate the spreads from the video. So it's like there's this labyrinth that we have inside, and the more we explore the labyrinth inside, the more that the more that we're aware of outside. So that if there is a route or something, it's almost like there are things in the periphery that we're able to catch and see. And so the more we explore internally, the more we can make different choices externally that opens up different paths, newer paths that we follow, and then we experience something new. It feels like the Reaper is like in the labyrinth that the hermit is in. And for something like, it's because of like that, you see how under the horse's hoof it's like this oil or something. It may not be oil, but then there's the water where the horse's foot hasn't, like, for some reason that it's like. And then there's this crown. I noticed the crown on the ground for the first time today, or it really like jumped out at me. But then there's also like a boat and these like dune looking things, but they're in a cavern because you can see the roof of the cave. And it's like journey to the center of the earth type energy. I'm doing all right, I guess. I mean, I am. It's just like I need more rest. I just need to sleep another day, you know. But I'm doing well. Thank you. But the top of the deck is the title card. I already see it. Bottom of the deck again is the captor. This is so weird. Oh, look who's behind the captor. That's the card I was talking about. The one that came out with the hermit. Cool. Venus in Aries sextile Jupiter in Gemini. These are our two benefics. Oh, snap. Well, I can't wait to tune in. Um, yeah, this makes sense because this is a part of the labyrinth. It feels like these swords are like rising up out of the mist. You see the misty fog down there? Like the swords are rising up out of this mist. So, and then again, like here's the demiurge, the Four of Wands, how we create our own experiences. And it's interesting because the Eight of Swords is usually blindfolded, but this captor is not. She's not blindfolded, but it's like these swords, she isn't necessarily aware of. So basically, the swords are rising up out of the labyrinth. These are things within her own mind or within her own experiences that prevent her from having different experiences. And she may be completely unaware of them. Her eyes are not blindfolded. So she may think that she may be like convinced that she is aware, that she is conscious, that she is, taking care of all this, but still they arise from this place that she's not paying attention to. She's looking up here, they're coming from down here. They're coming from within. But we have this reaper. So there's a few different ways to read this. We have this reaper that is in the labyrinth. So that, like, this could be a trust that she has in herself and in the divine, to the point where it's almost like she doesn't have to consciously not divert. She doesn't have to consciously do that like hermit deep dive to clear the path. It's like she believes that the path is cleared before her. Honestly, or like the way that I would read it is it's like she doesn't have to do shadow work and she doesn't have to be triggered into an isolation in order to handle and deal with things that are coming to the surface for her to handle and deal with. She can take it in stride. She can take it as she's moving. So if a shadow pops up or if a sword comes up while she's moving externally, she can take care of it and keep moving. She doesn't have to go completely in, stop moving externally, resolve it, and then like go back to the external and resume movement. She has a trust and faith in her path, the divine, in her ability to walk it. That again, it's like it doesn't, that's why the hermit was on its side. Because it again, like it doesn't have to be this full hermit type thing that she needs to do to get through this. Because the reaper is transforming and clearing those pathways within. And so now it's like it's this wheel of fortune energy that just turns brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. Now, if there has been transformation internally, because this is very obviously, hey Holly, how you doing? This is very obviously a lunar eclipse. It could be the case that, like, let's say that you've gone through significant transformation internally. Then what this lunar eclipse could be doing is giving you the opportunity to see how much it is that you've changed. It's like the reaper, like you've been growing and transforming and evolving and growing beyond your fears and worries, maybe in ways that you weren't fully consciously aware until something happens and you're like, oh, like I'm not bothered by this. This doesn't trigger me. This isn't going to stop me from doing what I need to do. Like, this isn't going to send me into a weeks to months, maybe even long depression, anxiety spiral. This isn't going to take me off my path. This isn't going to, like, this doesn't have to be a dark night of the soul anymore. Is it like, maybe it's just cloudy instead of a dark night? You know what I mean? And then the turning of that Four of Wands feels like it could be. I'm thinking of invisibility in the new Mario game. But it's like there's maybe an opportunity, or there's something in the environment that would be more understandable. Yeah. It's like there's something in the environment, or it could be an opportunity that would be very hard to see if it would, like, it's hard to see in the dark. So if it triggered a dark night to the point where, like, you shut down from possibility, or it disengages you to the point where, like, you're not present and aware enough to see something, it's like, since that's not the case anymore, it's like you'll see it. It's an opportunity. It's the possibility, because it's general. Take it as it resonates, if it resonates, right? But it's like, because there's a certain presence that you'll be able to maintain, you'll see something. And that's something that you see that maybe you wouldn't have seen before. That's what gets you out of that spiral, out of that loop, out of that set of experiences, and into another. So that's one way to read this. And then, of course, the other way is just that there are these subconscious limitations and stuff that, for all of our consciousness and for all of our awareness, this by itself decontextualized, but this card by itself would be, there are all of those things. And while we do believe we're aware, because again, she's not wearing a blindfold, we're not. And so this card would be an invitation to perhaps dig even deeper. What's coming next? Ooh, glad to hear it. My wild night was sleep. I'm kidding. I think I didn't even sleep that much. Ooh, apocalypse. Apocalypse is fire, which is Pluto. Because of Pluto, it's Scorpio. Last Judgment. I like Last Judgment. I actually love Last Judgment for this, because it feels like the last time you'll have to make a choice or decision. Or it's like, it feels like the last time that you encounter something. I think I was watching the tarot. It was the tarot ship with Jimmy, I'm pretty sure. I watched a few of his videos a few days ago. I'll listen to him. And I can't remember if it was for November. Anyway, he said something about it being like the Truman Show. And at the end of the Truman Show, he walks out the door. And we don't know what happens to Truman, right? His whole life was scripted for him inside of the Truman Show. But when he walks out that door, you know, not everyone's going to necessarily be, hey, Truman, like, you know. But it's like, that's what this Last Judgment, it feels like it closes the door on something for the last time. And so it's a space that will, like, never be revisited. It's like when you notice the exit to the labyrinth. Now it's giving me anxiety from the time to go. All right. I hope y'all have an amazing whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Bye.